The Zelurian Empire was known across the galaxy for its beauty, its power, and its ancient bloodline. But on this day, the palace halls felt cold and broken. The queen herself walked slowly down the long corridor, her silver robes dragging behind her like a shadow, her heart heavy with a pain no one could see. Her daughter, Princess Celera, sat on the edge of the royal balcony, staring at the twin moons above. Her eyes were tired, not from sleepless nights, but from years of hopelessness. She looked small compared to the golden pillars around her, like a flower lost in stone. Celera whispered softly, "Mother, I have failed the Empire." The queen stopped walking, the words hitting her like a blade. "You have failed nothing," she said, but her voice trembled. Celera shook her head, tears gathering in her glowing eyes. "I cannot give you an heir. The bloodline ends with me." The queen closed her eyes, hiding the fear inside her. The healers had tried every treatment, every ritual, every ancient method, and every attempt ended the same way. Princess Celera was barren. No child, no future, no heir to protect the empire. But the queen would not let her daughter drown in despair. She took Celera's hands gently. "I will save you, even if I must cross every star." For months, she traveled from world to world, carrying hope in her heart and fear in her mind. She visited alien healers, scientists, and mystics, but each one bowed their head and said the same painful sentence: "The princess cannot conceive." And then one day she received strange information from a distant colony, a rumor, a whisper, a secret that sounded impossible yet tempting. Humans, though young and chaotic, had something unique in their biology: genetic adaptability. It meant their DNA could bond with almost any species. Humans could create life where other species could not. The queen searched deeper, reading ancient scrolls and new data files, and found the same shocking truth repeated again and again. If her daughter married a human, she might conceive. The queen felt fear, pride, and desperation twist inside her chest. The idea of giving her royal daughter to a human, a species known for their wild emotions and unpredictable strength, felt outrageous, but she had no choice. The bloodline had to survive. So, one cold morning, she called Celera to the throne room. Celera walked in slowly, her eyes confused, her heart weak. She bowed gently. "Mother, why have you summoned me?" The queen looked at her daughter with deep sorrow. "Celera, there is one path left." Celera frowned. "Another healer?" The queen shook her head. "A human." Celera froze, confused and frightened. "A human?" she repeated softly. "Mother, humans are dangerous. They fight wars without fear. They change everything they touch." The queen stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. "Humans can create life where we cannot. They are chaos, but they are hope." Celera's hands trembled. "You want me to marry one?" The queen closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded. "Your future and the future of our empire depends on it." Celera felt her chest tighten. She had never met a human. She had only heard stories of bravery, brutality, compassion, and unpredictability. Humans were emotions shaped into flesh. How could she marry one? Live with one? Trust one? She whispered, "What if he hurts me?" The queen touched her cheek gently. "I will choose carefully, my child." And she did. After weeks of searching, the queen found a human warrior known across colonies for his discipline and protective nature. Captain Darius Vale, a soldier with strength like iron and a heart known for mercy. The queen arranged a meeting on Earth. The moment their ship landed, Celera felt overwhelmed. The air smelled different. The sky was brighter. Humans moved with loud energy, laughing, shouting, living with passion. Then she saw him. Darius stood tall, wearing human armor, his eyes sharp but warm, his presence strong but calm. The queen introduced her daughter, and for the first time in years, Celera saw someone look at her without pity, without judgment. Darius bowed respectfully, not because she was royalty, but because she was a person. Celera's heart shook.
Later, when they were alone, Darius spoke softly. I know you didn't choose this. Solara looked down, ashamed. I cannot give children. I am broken. Darius shook his head firmly. You are not broken, Solara, he said with quiet strength, and whatever happens, I will never treat you as a burden. Those words warmed something inside her that she thought was gone. But the queen still carried fear in her heart. She was placing her only daughter in the hands of a human, trusting a species she barely understood. She prayed to every star that this gamble would save the empire. At the end of the meeting, the queen placed her hand over her daughters and whispered, Forgive me, Solara, but this is our only hope. Solara nodded slowly, accepting her fate, her future, and her human husband. As the queen left Earth, she looked back one last time, unaware that the next time she returned, she would see something she never dreamed possible. Her grandchildren. The miracle she never believed could happen was already beginning.
Solara's first days on Earth felt like stepping into another universe. Everything was louder, brighter, faster. Humans moved with strange confidence, their emotions visible in their eyes and voices, and Solara felt small in this world full of life. But Darius Vale did not overwhelm her. He was gentle from the first moment. He spoke slowly, gave her space, and treated her with respect in a way she had never experienced even in the royal palace. Their home was simple compared to the shining palace of Zelyria, a quiet cabin outside the city, surrounded by tall trees and soft wind. Solara felt uncertain but safe, like the forest whispered comfort into her ears. Darius noticed how she looked around nervously on the first night. He said in a warm voice, You don't have to pretend here, Solara. This home is yours too. Solara turned her face away, hiding the pain in her eyes. I was never enough in my own home, she whispered, her voice breaking. Darius stepped closer, careful not to frighten her. Here, you don't need to be enough for an empire. You just need to be yourself. Those words felt strange to her, almost impossible. No one in the empire ever spoke like that. No one ever saw Solara as simply Solara. She sat quietly near the window that night, watching the stars and wondering if her mother had truly done the right thing. She wondered if a human could ever accept her, a princess who carried the shame of a dying bloodline. The next morning, Darius brought her a warm drink. Humans called it tea. Solara took a small sip and closed her eyes. The flavor was gentle and calming, reminding her of quiet nights she used to spend alone in the palace garden. Darius smiled softly. You like it? Solara nodded slowly. It is peaceful. Peace was something she never expected to feel again. Days passed, then weeks, and Solara began noticing things she had never seen before. Darius worked long hours training new recruits, but he always returned home early if she needed anything. He cooked meals for her, cleaned with her, and sat beside her during storms when loud thunder frightened her sensitive hearing. Humans lived differently from her people. They cared with action, not titles. They loved loudly, they protected fiercely, and Darius showed her this with every small moment. One evening, Solara heard footsteps outside the cabin. Panic rushed through her body. Hunters from other worlds had followed her before. She trembled and backed into a corner, her breathing fast. Darius came to her instantly, raising a calm hand. It's all right, he said softly. It's just children from the village. He opened the door and waved at them, laughing when they asked if the princess wanted to join their firefly game. Solara watched with confusion. She was royalty, yet human children treated her like any other person. When Darius closed the door, he looked at her. You don't have to fear everything, Solara. This world isn't here to hurt you. Her eyes softened for the first time in months. She whispered, I am not used to safety. Darius nodded. Then we'll build it together. Slowly, day by day, something inside her began to heal. Even the forest around their home seemed to accept her.
Birds rested on her hands, flowers bloomed when she touched them, and Darius often watched her with quiet admiration, seeing how gentle her soul truly was. One night, as they sat near the fire, Solara finally shared what she had never told anyone, not even her mother. "Darius, I always believed I was broken," she said softly, her voice trembling. "Every healer called me hopeless. Every whisper in the palace said I was a failure." Darius turned to her, his expression serious and kind. "Solara, listen to me," he said firmly. "You are not broken. You just were never loved the right way." Solara felt tears sting her eyes because no one had ever spoken such words to her, not with sincerity, not with a heart like his. And then something unexpected happened. Weeks turned into months, and Solara began feeling strange sensations in her body. Her energy changed, her senses sharpened, and she felt a warmth growing inside her, a warmth she had never experienced before. She tried to ignore it at first, thinking it was stress, but the feeling grew stronger every day. Her breath shorter, her heartbeat faster, her steps lighter. One morning she collapsed suddenly, her vision spinning. Darius rushed to her side, lifting her gently. "Solara, look at me. What's wrong?" he asked with panic in his voice. Solara clutched her stomach, tears falling. Something is happening inside me." Darius wasted no time. He carried her to the nearest human medical center. Doctors surrounded her, machines hummed, scanners glowed, tests ran for hours. Solara held Darius's hand tightly, terrified of the results, because she already knew what the healers from her world would say. She was barren. Her body could not create life. This pain was nothing new. But when the human doctor returned, her eyes were wide with shock. "Princess Solara," she said slowly, you are pregnant." Solara froze. Her breath caught. Her heart stopped. The world blurred. She whispered, "That is impossible." The doctor shook her head, smiling gently. "Not for humans." Solara turned to Darius, her entire soul trembling. "Darius, Darius felt tears burn in his eyes as he pulled her into his arms. "You're not broken, Solara. You never were." For the first time in her life, Solara cried from happiness, not pain. And far away, the alien queen still believed her daughter carried an empty future. She had no idea that everything was about to change. A new life was forming, a miracle no empire predicted, a hope the galaxy thought impossible. And this miracle was part human, part royal, part destiny. The future had just begun to grow silently, beautifully, inside the princess who thought she could never be a mother.
The news spread through the small human clinic like a quiet shock. Nurses whispered, doctors stared at their screens, and Solara sat trembling on the medical bed, her hands shaking as she touched her stomach with disbelief. Pregnant, a word she never imagined she would hear, a word that shattered years of pain. Darius sat beside her, holding her hand gently, his eyes filled with warmth and pride. "Solara, this is real," he whispered. "A new life is growing inside you." Solara felt a tear fall down her cheek. "My people said I could never carry a child," she whispered. "They said my body was empty, weak, useless." Darius shook his head firmly. "Your people were wrong," he said with quiet strength. "You are stronger than anyone ever believed." For the next weeks, Solara lived in a world she never knew existed, a world where every morning felt like a blessing, where she touched her stomach with gentle awe, where she felt small movements inside her that made her heart bloom. Humans celebrated with her. The village brought gifts, toys, warm blankets, flowers. Everyone wanted to help. Seeing a royal alien princess becoming a mother was something none of them had ever imagined. Solara experienced human kindness every day, and with every smile she received, her fear faded a little more. Darius stayed close to her through every moment. He woke up early to cook for her, held her when she felt overwhelmed, and carried her when her legs grew tired.
Humans believed in protecting their families fiercely, and Darius lived that belief with every breath. One night, as Solara lay with her head resting against Darius's shoulder, she whispered softly, "Will my mother believe this?" Darius stroked her hair gently. "She will," he said, "but she might faint first." Solara laughed quietly, the sound soft and warm. She tried to imagine the queen's reaction, but the thought felt too big, too unreal, too impossible. Months passed, and her belly grew round and full, glowing with faint blue Zillyrian energy mixed with human warmth. The hybrid life inside her was strong, stronger than pure Zillyrian children, stronger than anything the galaxy had seen before. When the day of birth finally arrived, the entire village gathered outside the clinic, waiting with anxious hearts. Solara's cries echoed through the night. Darius held her hand tightly, whispering strong words. "You can do this, Solara. You are powerful." And then, at dawn, it happened. 2 babies were born. Twins, a miracle multiplied. The doctor placed the first child in Solara's hands, a tiny infant with glowing blue eyes and soft human features. The second baby came moments later, crying loudly, like a warrior entering the world. Solara stared at them with shaking hands, her heart exploding with love she had never felt. "I have children," she whispered in disbelief. "I am a mother." Darius placed his forehead against hers, tears falling freely. "You gave us a family," he murmured. "Solara, you gave life to what the galaxy said was impossible." The babies held their parents' fingers with tiny glowing hands, and Solara cried harder, overwhelmed by the miracle resting in her arms. But miracles attract danger, and the galaxy is not always kind. News of the hybrid birth spread across secret channels, whispered by traitors, soldiers, and spies, reaching even the darkest corners of fallen kingdoms. Some celebrated, calling it a sign of hope, but others feared it, especially those who wanted the Zillyrian throne for themselves. The traitor generals, who once believed Solara's infertility meant the end of the royal bloodline, now felt panic twist inside their hearts. If the princess lived, if she had heirs, if the royal line returned, their stolen power would crumble. General Valor, the ruthless leader of the rebellion, slammed his fist on the table when he heard the news. "A human," he snarled. "A human saved the bloodline we tried to kill." He turned to his assassins, his voice cold as metal. "Find the princess, kill the human, and destroy the hybrids." The assassins bowed and vanished into the shadows, beginning their hunt. Back on Earth, Solara rocked her babies gently in her arms as Darius watched with soft eyes. He felt peace, love, and purpose stronger than anything he had ever known. But Solara suddenly felt a sharp fear in her heart, a fear she couldn't explain. Her Zillyrian instincts sensed something approaching, something dark. She clutched her babies closer, whispering, "Darius, someone is coming." Darius stood tall, his face turning serious, the human warrior inside him awakening. "Let them come," he said. "I will protect all of you." As he prepared weapons and reinforced the cabin, Solara activated a small crystal hidden in her necklace, a royal emergency beacon that reached across galaxies. The queen, far away in her palace, saw the beacon flash, her heart stopping in her chest. Solara was calling her. Her daughter needed her. She did not know why. She did not know the miracle waiting for her. She did not know she was about to meet the grandchildren she thought would never exist. But she rose from her throne, her voice filled with fierce power. "Prepare my ship! My daughter calls for me!" And the queen raced towards Earth, unaware that her entire empire was about to change forever.
The Queen's royal ship cut across the galaxy like a blade of light, her heart pounding faster with every passing star. She replayed the beacon's signal again and again. Her daughter's distress call echoed through her mind.
Solara had never used that crystal before, not once in her entire life. It was only meant for moments of death or danger. So the queen sat in silence, her hands shaking, fear tightening her chest like metal chains. "Hold on, my child," she whispered to the empty room. "Hold on." Back on Earth, the forest surrounding the cabin grew strangely quiet. Even the wind seemed to pause. Darius stood outside the home with weapons ready, his muscles tense, eyes sharp. He had seen war before, but never with his family behind him. Inside the cabin, Solara mocked her newborn twins gently, trying not to cry. Their tiny hands glowed with soft blue light. They looked peaceful, trusting, unaware of the danger approaching. Solara whispered, "Your grandmother is coming. She will save us." But a tremor of fear slipped into her voice because she didn't know if her mother would forgive her or fear the hybrids she carried. Hours later, a deep hum filled the sky. The ground vibrated and light spread across the forest like falling stars. Solara gasped, recognizing the royal energy signature instantly. "She is here," she whispered. Darius looked up as the queen's massive ship descended between the trees, its silver wings stretching wider than the cabin itself. Soldiers in blue armor stepped out first, forming a protective circle. Then the queen walked down the ramp. She looked powerful, regal, and terrifying in her royal armor, but her eyes were shaking with fear and love as she whispered, "Solara, where are you?" Solara stepped out of the cabin doorway, holding the twins close to her chest, her hair glowing softly, her eyes full of hope and terror. The queen froze, her breath caught in her throat. She stared at her daughter with disbelief, confusion, then shock so sharp it cut through her soul. The children, the babies, two tiny glowing infants held in Solara's arms. For a moment, time itself stopped. Birds, wind, soldiers, everyone fell silent. The queen took one step forward, then another, her voice trembling like a child. "Solara, what are you holding?" Solara's voice cracked as she answered, "Mother, these are my children." The queen gasped, stumbling backward as if struck by lightning. Her hands covered her mouth, her crown tilted as she fought for breath. "No! No! That cannot be," she whispered. You were... Her voice broke completely. Solara walked closer, tears running down her cheeks. "I told you I was broken, but I was wrong, Mother, I was wrong." The queen reached out with shaking hands, her fingers brushing the glowing hair of the first baby. The infant opened its eyes, bright blue Zolarian light with a hint of human warmth, and wrapped its tiny hand around the queen's finger. The queen fell to her knees, a sound escaping her chest like a heart shattering and rebuilding in the same second. Tears poured down her face. She whispered, "My grandchildren," again and again like a prayer. She touched the second baby, who let out a little cry. The queen held him gently, trembling. "They are real. They are alive. They carry our blood." Solara whispered softly, "Mother, please do not hate them." The queen shook her head violently. "Hate them?" she whispered. "Solara, I love them. They are miracles." But the moment of peace shattered instantly. A sharp explosion tore through the forest. The traitor assassins had arrived. Darius ran forward, shouting, "Get down!" as plasma shots tore through the trees. The queen stood instantly, her royal energy erupting like a storm, her eyes blazing blue. "How dare they attack my blood?" she roared. Her soldiers formed a shield wall. Solara hid behind them with her babies, her hands glowing as she activated defensive magic she had not used in years. Darius charged forward like a human thunderbolt, knocking an assassin to the ground, firing precise shots that forced the attackers back. The queen's power spread across the battlefield like fire, lifting enemies into the air, slamming them against trees, creating bursts of blue energy that cracked the ground beneath her feet. Her voice thundered. "You tried to end my daughter. You tried to erase my line, and now you dare to touch my grandchildren." Her rage became a weapon. Her grief became power. She tore through assassins with a fury no human or alien had ever seen. Solara watched in awe as her mother fought like the queen of legends. But then Solera's instincts screamed. She saw a hidden assassin aiming at Darius from behind a fallen tree. She cried, "Darius, behind you!" Darius spun just in time, blocking the strike with his arm, pain shooting through his body, but he stayed standing, fighting with everything he had because behind him were the only people he lived for now. The queen turned, her eyes blazing. She lifted the assassin into the air and crushed his weapon with raw energy. Silence fell again. The forest, still. The danger gone. The queen turned to Darius, breathing hard. "You protected my daughter and my grandchildren with your life." Darius nodded, blood on his arm, but pride in his eyes. "I will always protect them." The queen stepped closer, looking into his human eyes, and then she bowed her head, a gesture no one had ever seen her give. She said, "Then I bow to you, human warrior, for you gave my daughter what the universe could not." Solera touched his shoulder gently, her eyes filled with love and pride. The queen looked at her daughter, at the babies, and whispered, "We must leave. The traitors know of your children now. The empire will burn unless we fight." She lifted her granddaughter gently, her hands soft, her heart full. She said, "Come, my children, the galaxy must see the miracle born from a human and a princess." The future of the empire had changed in one night, and the war for the throne was about to begin, with humanity standing at the queen's side.
The queen's ship rose through the atmosphere with a deep metallic roar, carrying Solara, Darius, and the miracle children toward the stars. The infants slept peacefully in their cradles, unaware of the galaxy shaking because of their existence. Solara held one baby close, her glowing eyes soft. "They will chase us, mother," she whispered. "They will not stop." The queen placed a calming hand on her shoulder, her voice firm and royal. "Let them chase. They will face a mother, a daughter, and a human who will never break." Darius stood by the control panel, his injured arm wrapped but steady, his eyes scanning every incoming signal like a soldier ready for war, his heart beating for his new family. As the ship entered hyperspace, a message flashed across the screen, a symbol the queen recognized instantly. The Traitor Council, the enemies who destroyed her palace, the ones who declared her bloodline dead. A hologram appeared, General Valor's cold face filling the room. "So the rumors are true," he sneered. "The barren princess found a human mate and spawned abominations." Solara tightened her grip around her child, fury rising in her chest like fire. Darius stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Call them that again." The general smirked. "You cannot protect them, human. The empire belongs to us now." The queen stood proudly, her voice shaking the room. "The empire belongs to the rightful heirs, Valor, and they breathe in my daughter's arms." Valor's eyes narrowed in hatred. "Then we will burn your heirs and your precious human, and every world that dares support you." The hologram vanished, leaving silence heavier than metal. The queen looked at her daughter and Darius. "The final battle is coming," she said. "He will bring every ship he has." Solara whispered, "Then we must bring everyone who believes in us." The queen nodded, and for the first time in years, hope filled her voice. "We will gather the loyal houses," she said. "We will call every ally who still honors the crown." And they did. Messages flew across the galaxy, reaching hidden colonies, old friends, broken fleets, and forgotten warriors. One by one, ships rose from the darkness, answering the queen's call. When they arrived at the ruined capital of Zaleria, the sight struck Solara speechless. Thousands of ships. Human ships lined beside alien war cruisers, refugee vessels beside royal frigates, all waiting for the queen. Darius stared at the forces gathering behind them. "They came for you," he said quietly. The queen corrected him softly. "They came for the future." But Valor arrived too. His fleet darkened the stars. His dreadnoughts filled the sky like shadows of death. The battlefield trembled with energy as both sides prepared.
Solara felt fear rise, but then she looked at her children, glowing softly, breathing peacefully, and strength filled her heart. She stepped to the front of the bridge, her voice steady. "Mother, let me speak." The queen nodded. Solara activated the wide-channel broadcast, her voice echoing across the galaxy. "I am Solara Valen, daughter of the queen, carrier of the royal bloodline, and mother of the new heirs." Across thousands of ships, screens flickered to life, showing the princess holding her newborn hybrids, glowing with royal and human power. The galaxy gasped. Solara raised her child Heir. "Those who said I was barren lied. Those who said the bloodline was dead were wrong. Life grows in my arms because of a human, because of love, because of hope." Darius stood behind her, strong and silent, a human symbol of protection. Solara continued, "Today we take back our empire, not with fear, but with unity, not with cruelty, but with courage." Her voice trembled with emotion. "Fight with us, fight for the future." The loyal fleet roared in response, lights flashing, engines powering up, spirits rising. Valor's ships fired first, plasma tearing through space, and the final battle began like a storm exploding across the stars. Darius jumped into a fighter craft, refusing to stay behind. "I'll clear the path," he told Solara. "Protect the children." Solara grabbed his arm, her eyes shining. "Come back to me." He leaned his forehead against hers. "Always." Then he launched into the chaos, weaving through enemy fire with impossible human instinct, destroying Valor's fighters faster than they could track him. The queen led the main fleet with devastating power, tearing through enemy lines with royal energy blasts, shouting commands with fury and pride. Solara activated ancient defensive shields to protect the cradle, her magic glowing brighter with every second, her power awakened by motherhood. But Valor, furious and desperate, commanded his dreadnought straight toward the queen's ship, intending to crush them once and for all. His voice echoed across comms. "Your line dies today." Solara stepped forward, holding her babies close, her voice filled with fire. "My line begins today." She unleashed a pure royal light, mixing with the human spark inside her children. The energy formed a shield so powerful it shattered Valor's weapons instantly. Darius finished the final strike, blasting through Valor's bridge with a roar of triumph. The traitor fleet crumbled. Silence returned. The war ended. The queen stood before her people, holding her grandchildren, her voice breaking with joy. "The empire lives because humanity stood with us." Every ship bowed, every warrior bowed, every world bowed. And for the first time in history, a human stood at the center of an alien empire's future. Solara took Darius's hand, whispering softly, "We saved the empire together." Darius smiled. "No, you saved it when you believed in us." The hybrid children glowed softly, symbols of hope, unity, and a future no one predicted. And across the stars the legend spread. The royal bloodline lived because a human made the impossible possible. The empire would never be the same again, and neither would humanity.